This is Season Seckle with me, Nazizi, the original Roots daughter.
And I am Rastridi KK Black Jesus.
Yeah, man. And we are on the Stir It Up segment.
Yeah, man. Most definitely, Rasta.
As you know, on Stir It Up, we are always talking about something and stirring it up. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
And today,
man.
we are talking about repatriation.
So, yes, sir. Most definitely call a friend, tell a friend, let a friend know. Vibes Radio on 104.5, Mombasa 98.7, Nyeri 98.8, Meru 107.7, and Eldoret 107.5. Let them know we are talking on repatriation today.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
and if you are at home and you do not know what repatriation is, it is the return of someone to their own country.
Yeah, man.
And as we know, in Rastafari, we have a lot of people who have repatriated. In fact, most of the people I know who have come back to Africa, who have repatriated, are Rastafari, you know.
Yeah, man.
And a lot of reggae songs, by the way, speak about coming back to Africa, coming back to the motherland.
Yeah, man.
And, you know, forgetting, not forgetting our history and where we come from. And that's why we had this song Made in Africa by Stephen Marley playing on Roots, Rhyme and Reason, you know.
Yeah.
So today we are discussing repatriation.
Yeah, man.
And basically, we're just going to give you a lot of information about it.
Yeah.
This is part one.
This is part one of repatriation. So we cannot talk about repatriation without understanding why Rasta keeps talking about repatriation. So what we are going to do right about now, for those people who are streaming us live, we have something for you to watch. For those who are listening at home, please take a good listen to this, Rasta.
Between the 15th and the 19th centuries, Africans were taken against their will to the Americas to work as slaves, picking cotton, cutting sugarcane. In the 1860s, Abraham Lincoln abolished slavery in the United States, ending the practice in the Western Hemisphere. Soon, descendants of slaves were returning home to Africa, mostly to West Africa, where they started their countries of Liberia and Sierra Leone. Marcus Garvey, a Jamaican, was descended from slaves brought to work the Caribbean sugar plantations. He started the United Negro Improvement Association in the early 1900s, preaching black self-empowerment. He had 1 million followers in the US. Marcus Garvey predicted a black king would be crowned and would unite Africans on their own continent.
So yes, sir, Rasta. That shows you where repatriation comes from, Rasta. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. You know, a lot of people will talk about the history of Africans as being slaves.
Yes.
And never as former kings and queens.
Yeah, man.
Never think about when these people were taken away, what were they doing in their lives before?
Yeah, man.
And we'll be talking more about that, you know. This is the Stir It Up session, and we are on Season Seckle on Vibes Radio. Repatriation is what we're talking about. And we said, you know, repatriation is such a broad topic.
Yeah, man.
We can't fit it in one day.
No, we
So remember to follow up closely. This is part one.
This is part one.
Part two is going to come next Wednesday,
yes.
And part three the Wednesday after that.
And most definitely we are talking about repatriation, Rasta. And you see, with black man repatriation, when we talk about black man supremacy, Rasta, you have to speak about Rastafari. And when you speak of Rastafari, Rasta, you have to understand when Rasta talks of Africa, the passion in him. You have to understand why the passion is in it. And even the Rastafari colors themselves, they represent Africa. For them who are watching Rasta, I want to show you a short clip on what the Rasta colors represent, Rasta, so that we can get into this a little more deeper, Rasta. Take a look at this. If you are listening, my lad, have a good listen.
Rasta colors you like the red. The red is for the blood of the people. The green is for the pastures, and the yellow is for the not yellow, it's gold actually, for the sunshine as well. So that's the red, green and gold. Red, gold and green actually.
They also happen to be the colors of the Ethiopian flag. As to their hair, Many wear long braided hair and beards, commonly called dreadlocks.
The dreadlocks, you don't have to be dreadlocks to be a Rasta. Remember that one. If you know Morgan Heritage, they have a music that says you don't have to be dread to be Rasta. Yeah, I can't sing, I know that. But yeah, they are. It's not a dreadlocks thing. It's a function of one's heart.
You don't have to be dread to be Rasta. You don't have to be dread. This is not a dreadlocks thing. Divine conception of the heart.
Yes, I, Rasta. That informs you on what the colors represent when we talk about Rastafari and when we talk about the red, green, and the gold Rasta. See, when we talk about Rastafari, most you'll hear, as Nazizi said, most people do talk a lot about Africa and coming back to Africa.
Yeah.
You see, most people don't understand the significance of Africa to a black man. Same way, I want you to understand this. There's something called supremacy Rasta. When you're in a European country, the man them is at home Rasta. And he has supreme because with his whiteness in a white nation Rasta, everything will be usually go towards, it will be better for him rather.
And have a bigger advantage.
Yeah, he'll always have a
things.
bigger advantage at everything.
In jobs, in
housing. Yes, I Rasta.
Yeah.
Same thing, you take a look in the Asian countries and the Arab countries, same thing, a Guan Rasta. A black man goes to one of them places Rasta, he is treated different. But I know people who've repatriated to Africa Rasta, and I have testimonies, people saying they've been here for years, and people don't even recognize Rasta, that they are different. They are not from Kenya, or they're not African Rasta.
Yeah, man.
But
even I know, like, when I was speaking to Sydney one time, when he came to Kenya, Sydney Salmon, he repatriated to Ethiopia, and we'll be talking about that also later. He told me when he came to Kenya for the first time, he looked at the people's faces and he was like, Nazizi, me feel like me in a Jamaica.
Yeah.
Because he looked at the faces and the features of the people, and he was like, to him, it just looks like people in Jamaica.
Yes, I. And when we talk about repatriation, people think it's an individual thing. Rasta, repatriation is not an individual thing. It's a government to government thing, where the government intellectuals, they're supposed to go on and put initiatives where people who are repatriating Rasta, it can be easy for them to repatriate back to Africa Rasta.
Yeah, man, like what happened in Shashamani. So, for me, in my travels, I've seen one of the places that stands out for me in repatriation in Africa is definitely Shashamani. And because there's a big Rastafari community there. I went to Shashamani for the first time in 2005, and I've been trying to go every year since then. And you can see the community there, and you can see how Rastafari believe in repatriation.
Yes, I.
And with Shashamani, His Majesty Haile Selassie, he actually gave Shashamani, he gave the land to the people.
Yeah.
As a thank you to people who helped, the Africans who helped Ethiopia like stand strong during the war and the revolution they had. Man. So this was Haile Selassie's initiative. I'm giving Shashamani to the people who want to come back and live in Africa. This is like a thank you to from me.
Yeah, man.
And so because he initiated it, the Rasta started coming, and this is over 50 years ago.
Because when he did the groundation Rasta, he was very overwhelmed when he saw the congregation waiting for him, the Rastafarian congregation Rasta. So he definitely just had to go back and give some land Rasta. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So we're on Stir It Up, and we are talking about repatriation. When we come back, we're getting into more of that. So this is Vibes Radio. You know what?
Yeah, man.
Promoters on our force say or repatriate
by force Rasta. First they did it with our good man, what you call him? Donovan. And then they bought Everton, and then they left him here Rasta. Like them trying the Rasta man to repatriate by force Rasta. One has to repatriate by his own will, you know what I mean?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
That's how it should be, man. Like, honestly, that's just not right. But still, it's a nice experience when they stay here and they can go back and give a message.
Man, most
but
definitely.
It should be done in a better fashion,
for
sure.
Definitely.
And we're talking about repatriation on Stir It Up, and we're talking about how a lot of Rastafari have repatriated back to Africa. And, there's a Rastafarian community in Shashamani. It's been there for over 50 years. And I was privileged to meet one of the elders and one of the first first pioneers to move to Shashamane. He passed on now, rest in peace, brother Donald Leach, also known as Flippin. This man was so amazing. He was like an elder, but the first time when I reached in Ashash, he was like, Kenyan girl. And I was like, how does this Rastaman elder know me? And it's like, we've been waiting for you in Shashamane.
Yeah,
you know?
we've been waiting for the Kenyan girl.
Yeah, we've been waiting for you to come over here. We've been feeling your fire.
Yeah.
And I was privileged to meet him and learn a lot of things. And also we have a lot of people, like we said, Sydney Salman, and we had Sister Wendy earlier on the video clip.
Yeah.
I've been privileged to meet these people and hear their stories. And let me tell you something, repatriation is not easy.
At all.
Yeah. And we are going to play something for you about Shashamane coming on. If you're live streaming us on www.vibesradio.co.ke, you can watch it. And if you're listening on the radio, listen close.
While much of the Rastafarians' love and respect of Haile Selassie comes from his speeches and writings, his 1966 visit to Jamaica was a religious milestone for the group.
The most rousing, boisterous, tumultuous welcome ever given to any visiting or local celebrity, His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, Emperor of Ethiopia, arrived. The crowd erupted into a frenzy of rejoicing as they broke through the lines of soldiers and police and surged
100,000 Jamaicans greeted him at the airport, and the emperor was overwhelmed by this greeting.
You saw him more interacting even with his sons and daughters as we were taken from this side of the world, that African heritage. And he literally came and gave us that comfort.
After his kind treatment in Jamaica, the emperor offered Rastafarians land in Ethiopia if they would come back home to Africa. The land he donated was in Shashamane.
Yeah, man. That clip there shows you how repatriation in Ethiopia started, Rasta.
Yeah, man. And we were saying, repatriation is not an easy thing.
Yeah, man.
And it's crazy because right now there's a lot of xenophobic attacks in South Africa.
Yeah.
And some of the Rasta we were speaking to from South Africa, they are untouched by the xenophobia. In fact, there was a big celebration at the airport the other day. They were welcoming the Rastafari community in South Africa.
Yeah.
Were actually welcoming some of the Rasta brethren
Yeah,
who
man.
were returning and coming to South Africa just now during the xenophobia.
Yeah.
And they were saying, Rasta, we're not touched by the xenophobia because we are actually trying to bring the brethren back home and welcome them back home,
Yeah, man.
So, Shashamane is one of those places when you walk down there, you have this vibe. You don't know you're in Jamaica, you don't know you're in Africa.
Yeah.
You just see a lot of people because also remember the people who have repatriated, some are coming from Trinidad, some are coming from Jamaica, some are from UK, some are Jamaican and lived in the UK for years and then decided to come to Shash. Imagine this is like a village, right? And they're used to a different lifestyle and they come here and they believe so hard and they come and start a new life and live everything that they know. And it's not easy, man. Even for Africans, sometimes living in the village is not easy.
It's not easy at all, Rasta,
because there's no water. You have to get the water.
Yeah.
When they first came, there was no school, there was no hospital.
It's just bare land.
Yeah, man. So, big up all the, pioneers and the people who repatriated to Shashamane because I've been seeing it grow and there's a lot of development in Shashamane now if you visit. And man. Kenya is one of those blessed places where we have, they call it the King's Highway.
Yeah.
You can go all the way by bus straight to Shashamane. So, Rasta, make a point and go over there and see the people and see how they've been living and what them set up over there,
Yeah, man. Most definitely. And actually, I believe we have testimonials on a few Rastafarians talking about Shashamane, how it is right now. And right after that, we're going to give you some little music. So, take a look at this little clip, Rasta, and then enjoy the music, Rasta. If you're listening, have a good listen, Rasta. You know what I mean?
Many eventually end up in Shashamane.
Shashamane is like a little, little Miami or something coming now with an integrated society, A lot of people are here, foreigners in Shashamane, from French, Italian, Yeah, everybody is here in Shashamane. Yeah, Jamaica, islands, all the islands, Trinidad, all of them.
And yes, we are talking on repatriation, my lad. And as I had mentioned, repatriation is not an individual thing, Rasta. At most, it has to be a government-to-government thing. And that's why I commend the Ethiopian government for recognizing people who are repatriated back to Ethiopia in Shashamane, Rasta.
Yeah, man.
And just as you said, we have a common friend by the name of Sidney Salmon.
Yes, sir.
Whom actually, he's an artist. Mm-hmm. I was privileged to meet them on them. The fact that I met him and he met Dennis Brown, I kind of feel a little bit more closer
you
to,
wish.
to
you
the prince.
To this man here? Like, yeah, Sydney was also one of the first people I met when I went to Shashamane, thanks to Leila.
Yeah.
And he's the first person to tell me, you come from the tribe of Benjamin. And I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah.
So big up Sydney. He's doing massive things in Ethiopia.
Yeah, man. The man them is full of knowledge. He asks you for your birthday, and then he defines you with it, Rasta.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. So have a look at this if you are vibing online, www.vibesradio.co.ke. And if you are vibing on radio, Rasta, have a listen to this.
Sidney Salmon left a life he had built in the United States 17 years ago to come to Ethiopia in the quest of finding his true belonging. But contrary to his expectations, he was treated like a foreigner.
Being that we're living here now and we made the choice that now we're going to be Ethiopians, we're going to be Africans. So we decided now the Western Union that you would get through them and that eventually that cut. So we had to, it was a Western disunion. We had to and learn how to survive here.
Together with other Rastafarians, he formed the Imperial Majestic Band, which has been their main source of income. The announcement by Ethiopia that Rastafarians can now legally become Ethiopian.
Yes, Rasta. You just heard that. Yes, so I definitely commend the Ethiopian government for accepting Rastafarians who have repatriated back to Ethiopia, Rasta. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And big up Sister Ma'an. I saw Sister Ma'an over there. She's wicked. She plays on the keyboard and she plays bass as well. She plays bass on the keyboard.
Yeah, man.
And she plays in Imperial Majestic Band. And she was in Shashamane for so many years. She couldn't go home because, they didn't have the IDs and stuff. But she recently was able to go back home, to the States and visit her family. And I remember everybody being so happy when they got their IDs because everyone was like, first place we come in is a Kenya. First place we come in is a Kenya,
Man.
And so, man, repatriation is a must, I think. Repatriation is a must.
Yes,
And we need to support all the people who are repatriating. There's so much development in Ethiopia now. They have the JRDC school, which was built by the Rastafari community.
Yeah.
They have a hospital now. They have, a lot of projects coming up. You can always, check it out and see if you can support the brethren and sistren in Ethiopia who have repatriated.
Yeah.
They need all the support they can because they're doing amazing things.
Yes, but also on top of that, as much as they have already done the repatriation and they're being recognized by the government, the only sad thing, Rasta, is that they are not allowed to vote. And voting, Rasta, is one of those personal, human rights issue where if you're not allowed to vote, Rasta, I can't understand how you can live in a country, Rasta, and not allowed to have a say in how the country progresses. So here is the Empress herself talking on how they would love to get a voting voice, Rasta.
And Ethiopia is the promised land.
For me, it's a dream come true. And, it gives us more, more strength and for more inspiration for our people to come home because that's what we promote and preach is repatriation, to Africa.
Some come and some go, they don't have the faith to wait. But we came and we held it out, and there's been people there years before I came, from 40 years.
So yes, Rasta, that was Empress Ma'an, Rasta.
Yeah, man, Sister Ma'an Judah and Brother Alton. And I have been so blessed to play with Imperial Majestic Band many times, and when they have repatriated, but when I go in Ethiopia, they make me feel like I'm at home.
Yeah.
They welcome me. They're like, come Naz, let's show you this and let's show you that. And I always have to go back and I feel so empty when I'm not, when I haven't gone. If 1 year passes or 2 year passes and I haven't gone in Shashamane, it feels like forever.
And just as Brother Alton said, Rasta, it takes a lot of faith, Rasta, and a lot of strength for you to repatriate. Just leaving everything you've learned and been bred with, Rasta, and just leave it behind and coming to Africa, Rasta, and redesigning yourself into an African man, Rasta, or African woman, Rasta, making sure that you're African conscious, you know what I mean? So most definitely, it is not an easy thing to repatriate, Rasta, because as you said, if you get a bare land, Rasta, you have to just start from scratch, Rasta, you know what I mean? So most definitely, link us up online, let us know what you think about repatriation, Rasta.
The new status will, however, not allow them to participate in elections.
I am an Ethiopian, so it was also my divine right. So this piece of document, now we give thanks for it because it will allow us to show even our brothers and sisters here on the continent that we do have something to offer.
The Rastafarians living in Ethiopia have maintained close relationship with the locals, and many speak the local dialects.
Most of them are married to Ethiopians and started a family already here. So now it's legal and everybody knows that they are part of the family, so I'm really happy for them.
For Sydney and his band, the news is the perfect reason to celebrate by singing their happy songs.
Nobody can stop reggae.
One love. Living love on you.